Welcome to That Boxing Writers Podcast, the weekly podcast show about boxing. I'm That Boxing Writer, Jeremy Harridges, and let's start the show. Hello, fight fans. I'm That Boxing Writer, Jeremy Harridges, and welcome to That Boxing Writers Podcast. Glad to have you guys here. As always, make sure if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever podcasts are available, please like it and give me some feedback. I always am looking to hear back from all of you and trying to reach more and more people. I think this is the best little gem of a podcast that you can find out there on boxing. I try to keep podcasts 40 minutes or under, although some have had features that have gone longer, but love doing this. And it's great to have an area to talk about boxing and get together with other boxing fans and people that appreciate the sport. So thank you guys for joining me. This is Friday morning, January 28th. And got a lot to unpack. We're going to be taking a look at the fight that's happening this weekend between Xavier Martinez and Robson Conceicao. So we will talk about that one in a little bit. I'll also bring you a featured interview with Xavier Martinez, who fights this weekend. More to talk on him. I want to start off by I'm not going to unpack everything that's happened this week in boxing. It's been a relatively quiet week in boxing. Yes, we could talk about the drama with Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, and what's going on with the title fight. Obviously, Anthony Joshua, from all reports, has turned down a step-aside fee. Who knows what happens with that? I don't want to spend too much time providing conjecture. I want to take a look back to last week's action. And I think that was an interesting bout that we saw between Mark Magsayo and Gary Russell Jr. If you missed it, go back to last week's episode where we had Mark Magsayo on the podcast. I also did a feature on him for fansided.com/boxing. That's where all of my writing is. Yes, I am a boxing journalist. So I try to bring that journalist perspective just beyond the typical opinion of a fan. So go back and check that one out if you want to give that a listen. But I talked to Mark, seemed like an incredible guy. He won the fight, and which is awesome. Now, I predicted that Gary Russell Jr. would win by decision. I thought that his savvy would be enough to pull it out. Obviously, his injury was too much to overcome in that fight. The funny thing is, shortly after I gave my prediction on that, which many of you watched, I think it's got over 5,000 views on YouTube. Again, if you're listening to this and not watching it, check out my YouTube channel. Just search That Boxing Writer all together. You'll find me. And after that prediction, I talked to some people that I highly respect in the sport, and it definitely gave me caution and had me wishing that maybe I would roll that one back. I had an article on fansided.com/boxing that my weekly column. If you guys haven't checked that out, make sure every week jump into it. At the start of the week, I review what happened in the prior fight. It's called After the Fight. You can also find it on Twitter. If you just put in hashtag after the fight, it'll pop up and you'll get a link to the story. And Gary Russell was the focus. Some people might look at what I wrote about Gary Russell as a bit mean-spirited, and it wasn't. Was it critical? For sure. But I didn't think it was mean-spirited. I actually complimented him in a lot of ways, but I also critiqued him in a lot of ways. And that's not hating. I hate when people are like, well, he's a hater. He's a hater. He's, yeah. No, I critique, and I call him like I see him. I always offer a very honest opinion of what I see. Even though I had Mark Magsayo on the show, I wasn't predicting him to win. He won. First of all, congratulations, champ. Now a new champion, Mark Magsayo. So always great to have a new champion on the show. Adds to the credential and the street cred of the show. But I try to give you an unfiltered look at my ideas. I try to be as non-biased or unbiased as possible when I offer an opinion, regardless of any sort of personal relationship that I might have with a fighter or how much I like them. I'm giving you what I think as a boxing analyst. And, after Gary Russell lost, fighting with one arm from round 4 on, a lot of people came out and praised him for how he fought with one arm. Yes, it was impressive that he was able to be competitive with one arm. But I'm not going to sit here and praise him because he was able to do that. I always knew he had the more boxing talent than Mark Magsayo. He's a better boxer. His skills way above him. IQ, boxing IQ way above him. But Mark is young. He's powerful. He's dangerous. And I think having Gary Russell at a disadvantage, he lost. But even if he didn't lose his arm in that fight, I still would have thought that he would have lost. Someone pointed out on Twitter, he actually boxed better with one arm than he did with two, which from what we saw, he was getting beaten pretty clearly. Once he got more defensive, he looked a lot better and got into more of a comfort zone, but you're not going to beat Mark Magsayo with one arm. Now, I wasn't going to praise him for that because I was disappointed that he even took the fight with an injury. So I think it's important that we point that out. So that I thought was a big misstep. I thought that was a big miscalculation. I thought that was a big issue. Like, and people, I know that Keith Idec had a tweet out there. The same people that are trashing Gary Russell are the same ones that, were praising him before. No, not from my perspective, at least not for me. I'm not trashing him. I'm critiquing him. And I don't think Keith meant that to me personally, but I thought there was a lot of reason to critique, not trash, Gary Russell. I think he was also alluding to the fact that, wait a second, you want him to pull out of the fight, but you were trashing him for having so much time in between fights. Well, my take on that is, first of all, everyone can critique him for being inactive. I mean, that's on him. I went back to an old interview that I did with Gary Russell about, I guess it was 2 years ago. And when I talked to Gary Russell, I found something very telling now looking at it after all this time. What he said was, hey, I'm trying to make as much money as possible in this game. And I think that's kind of the key to his inactivity, the money. He also said that he thinks everyone's ducking him. No one wants to fight him. And I simply don't think that's true. I said it in my article, my column after the fight, that if you offer any non-title fighter, any fighter that doesn't have a title, they're going to jump at the opportunity to try to earn a title. Even if they don't win the fight, you're giving them a title opportunity. They want that fight. What fighter that doesn't have a title isn't going to take a title fight? Of course they're going to take it. So when he says that nobody wants to fight me, I simply don't think that's true. He may say that other titleists may not want to fight him, and that may be true. He's a very difficult style for a lot of fighters when he's at his best. So I give that more credence than no fighters want to fight me. But I think that with that money comment that he made to me 2 years ago, what that's telling me is that he's looking for big money fights. And every prize fighter should get as much out of this sport as they possibly can. They're putting their health on the line, severe brain damage on the line, their bodies, they're putting them through the ringer. More power to you to get that money. But you also have to be real with yourself. When those opportunities aren't making themselves open or apparent, then you got to take what's there. You got to stay active. You got to make sure that you're staying in prime position. So if he's not getting these major unification, big money fights, well, then he's got to look at what else is out there, which is what he has to do anyway. If he's just fighting once a year and they're not big fights, they're, Kiko Martinez or whoever else, then so be it. But why not do 3 of those in a year? If you're not getting that one big fight, don't hold your breath and hope for that one big fight to present itself. Take 3 smaller fights. The money made there might equal one big fight. So I think his perspective or his logic is flawed. And that's what I said in my article. Like, stay active, fight 3 guys. Even though they're not big money fights in your eyes, it's better to have the paydays from those 3 fights than sit out, hope for a big fight, and then not get it anyway. He's still fighting Kiko Martinez, and he's still fighting, other fighters that he doesn't view as big challenges to him. So I'm sorry, my contact's going crazy on me. So what's the point? Why hold out if you're just going to have to accept one of those fights anyway? Take 3 of them, look like a stud, stay in your best shape, make the easy money, get 3 paydays in a year as opposed to 1. You're taking those fights anyway. So take 3 of them instead of 1. Make it so they can't say no to you. That would have been, in hindsight, my perspective. If I was in his ear talking to him, that would have been my suggestion. But he elected not to do that. He elects to hope that these guys are going to fight him rather than go out and forcing them to. If he's laying waste to all these different contenders, then you're putting pressure on them to fight. That's my opinion there. So that's where my critique comes in. That's why I would critique his inactivity, because you're hoping for a big fight, yet having to take a subpar fight, whether you like it or not. You might as well fight 3 times in a year. Now, asking him to hold out even longer, my point is you haven't fought nearly 2 years. What's another 6 months? Like, obviously, he didn't want to get injured. He doesn't want to go into a fight hurt. You've already kept us waiting for 2 years. What's 6 more months? Okay, to make sure you're at your top shape. That's where my logic would take me. Well, you've already sat out this long. What's a little bit more to make sure you're in your best shape and put yourself in the best position to win? I don't know what manager wouldn't give him, or advisor wouldn't give him that advice. You've already been out for so long. What's a little bit longer anyway? You're going to get critiqued about it anyway. So you go in at far less than 100% and you lose your title. Doesn't help you out. Now you don't have a belt. Now you're a contender. Good luck trying to get fights now. Am I the only one seeing this? So yeah, I critique him for taking the fight while injured. What's a few more months? Get it fixed. You might as well. If you're going to take that long to fight, might as well take some more time. Put yourself in a position to be your best, because he wasn't at his best. Now, here's what I'm going to say. I talked to some boxing people who I respect highly. These are rumors. This does not make it fact. These are rumors. Okay, I want to put that out there. So put what stock into this you will. I was hearing things after I gave my prediction, of course, that he wasn't looking great in sparring. He was actually looking, from what I was hearing, pretty poor in sparring. That he wasn't doing everything he needed to do to win this fight. There was a lack of conditioning, a lack of running. None of this may be true. It's a rumor, which is why I didn't write about it, which is why I didn't put it out there. Now, when I wrote my piece, I kind of assumed like, hey, you weren't in your best shape, because looking at him, just the eye test, he didn't look nearly as cut, as toned, as primed as we're used to seeing him. I mean, look at his body in this last fight compared to 2 fights ago. Didn't look like he was in his physical best shape, not to mention the fact that he missed weight by half a pound. Now, you could say that it was just a miscalculation on his personal scale. I don't buy that. From hearing the rumors from people I respect out there floating around, and then to see what type of shape he came in at, seeing the eye test, not to say he's completely out of shape. The guy still has, like a 6-pack and he's toned and yada, yada, yada. But he didn't look like he lost the weight the right way. He looked like he had to spend a lot of time in a sauna, in a sweatsuit to lose that weight. Not like he lost it. He looked very drawn out at the weigh-in. He's not a big guy. He's not even big for a super featherweight. Okay. So he shouldn't have to lose his weight that way. The other interesting thing is, if you go back to my interview from 2 years ago, when he was talking about his loss to Vasily Lomachenko, he told me that he wasn't in his best shape for that fight, that he had weight issues and he didn't lose weight the right way. These are things he told me on his loss to Vasily Lomachenko. So if he didn't lose weight the right way against Lomachenko, and here he is a half pound over, once again, tells me he didn't lose weight the right way. He didn't learn his lesson in that fight. He thought he could beat Magsayo, no problem. I've got more skills. I'm a more polished boxer. I can box this guy, no problem. In which cases would be true, but if you're sporting an injury, too many things are stacked against him. Plus the fact his father was going through major health issues, wasn't there in camp. He admitted he was having to train himself. Everything looked like it was a disaster, and it turned out that way. So I know a lot of people are praising him for his congratulations. You stood in there and fought with one arm. You shouldn't have been in that position to begin with, in my opinion. And again, it's my opinion. But my whole thing with my article, which is called "The Perplexing Career of Gary Russell Jr.," is what's going on with your decision making? Like, there's a lot of flawed issues there. The reason that I also took such a stand in some of my critiques on Gary Russell was because he came out afterwards in the post-fight interview and saying he thought he won. And then on Instagram, he's saying he won 10 rounds to 2, 9-3. Really? That to me is delusional. BoxRec Ray over at boxrec.com used the word delusion in his interview, and I echoed that 100% within my article. That's delusional to think that you won, maybe not even when the fighter got the draw, but that you thought it was a lopsided victory for you. Not a chance. And to me, when a fighter has that in their head, that tells me that he's got so many yes men in his corner that no one is willing to step up against him and say, you're wrong. No one's trying to speak reason to him and saying, you lost the fight. And if no one's willing to sit down and lay out the truth to him, you're doing him a disservice, because it allows him to live in his fantasy world where he thinks he was better than he is in his own head. To me, he's his own worst enemy. If he really thinks that he won that fight and he, boxed masterfully and this, that, and the other, and he sees no problems with the way he's been managing himself over the last few years, that's a problem. No one's willing to call it out. No one's willing to tell him that's close in a circle. He just views a bunch of us in the media as haters, and we're just trying to drag him down. I like Gary Russell. I think he's a good dude. But that doesn't mean that I don't think that there's flawed logic on his part, and that I think he's making bad decisions, and that he's doing it because he's a genius in his own mind, and he's too he can't separate, he can't provide that lack of bias. He can't look at and appraise himself honestly. He's built himself into this megastar in his head, and to him, he can do no wrong. He can't see his own flaws. That's where I come in with my article, telling him everything that's on my mind, just like I'm talking about it here. And again, it's not to hate on the guy. I think he's a masterful boxer. I think he's a great talent, but I think he's making bad moves and bad decisions. And looking at it over the last few years, he really has. I mean, up until he won the title, which is up until 2015, he was fighting multiple times a year. He was fighting 3 times. I think he fought 7 times in his first year. Once he won the title, he never fought more than 1 time a year again. And I want to hope I got that right. But it's like his activity level, once he got that title, just boom, in the toilet. To me, why is that? Well, what he told me, he's looking for the big money fight, but he's still not getting them. So if you're not getting the big money fight and you're having to take fights that are below, or as you deem subpar anyway, once a year, why not take 3 of those fights in a year? Keep your name out there, market yourself more, make yourself a household name, build the respect, put the pressure on those other fighters with titles to fight you. But instead, you're not going to do that doing it once a year. First of all, no one's going to remember you. You're not going to branch out beyond just boxing purists. You're not going to have that name that people are dying to see. They're going to forget about you, which is what happened. You're not going to stay active. You're not going to stay primed. And to me, I think he's been the victim of his own success, that he let it go to his head. That's the way I got to see. I can't see it any way else when I put all these things together. And that's what I talk about in that article. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Comment below. Let me know how you saw it. One last thing before I move on to talk about the fights this week. CompuBox. Again, CompuBox stats don't say everything here, but they do give us some implication of what's going on. When you look at the CompuBox stats, I want to say he landed 69 punches total in the fight. Again, when you're fighting with one arm, there you go. Magsayo landed 150. You can't tell me that you put in half the work the other guy did and you won. 69 connected punches to 150. He doubled you. You didn't win. Okay. Hey, you gave it what you had, which again isn't as much as you usually do because you were injured and may or may not have been at 100% or lost weight the right way. You can't make that argument. Now, you can say whatever you want about CompuBox numbers or if they're accurate, not accurate, whatever. 69 to 150. I mean, that's huge. You're not going to win a fight like that. You would be the only fighter to win with those type of stats. It's not going to happen. That says everything you need to know right there. And that point, you can't look past those stats. I mean, that's clear as day. You lost that fight. But again, try to tell him that. Using the excuse that it's boxing politics and that's why you lost, excuses. Stop making excuses. Take it in. Take the loss. Take ownership of it. Because then you look delusional. You are delusional. I hope someone talks some sense into him and gives it to him real and not just, puffing him up just to stay in his good graces. He lost. Let him know. I don't know how much clearer it could be. My take on it. That just bothered me when you start throwing out excuses like that. That's why I vented in the article with a real critique. Again, good guy, but doesn't mean that he's right all the time. My 2 cents on that fight. Now let's talk about this weekend's bouts. You've got Xavier Martinez versus Robson Conceicao, and that is happening on ESPN tomorrow, Saturday, January 29th. The fight should be on at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. I'm sure they'll have prelim bouts on the plus, but I'm really looking forward to this one. There's a number of really good fights on the card. Taking a look at the event as a whole, I'm going down the list here. You've got my guy, Stephen Shaw, fighting Joey Dwachko. Dwachko is a last-minute opponent. Shaw's original opponent had COVID, so they got Dwachko in there. Hey, Stephen Shaw looks great. I've been keeping tabs on him on social media. He looks like a cruiserweight right now. Best shape I've ever seen him in. I think he's going to be fantastic. I've been singing his praises for a long time. He just needs an opportunity. Yes, this isn't the type of opponent that's, going to make everyone say, oh yeah, he should be a top 5 heavyweight. But, I think it's an opportunity for him to show off his wares. And I think he hasn't had the opportunities to really break in and get the evaluation that he deserves. But I'm looking forward to this one. So I think Stephen Shaw is going to win big against Joey. Also friend of the show, Giovanni Cabrera is now signed to Top Rank. He's fighting Rafael Reyes. It's nice to see Giovanni in the mix. Good dude, Chicago dude. So Giovanni, if you're listening or watching, props to you, my man. Good luck tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Even lower on the docket, you got Jeremiah Milton. Not going to be televised, but that's a nice little fight. Nico Ali Walsh is going to be fighting. Again, Delonte Johnson is going to be fighting. There's a number of really cool fights on that card. And I feel Bruce Carrington, I don't want to leave him out. Those are the big names you should be paying attention to. So any way you can grab it. If you can jump on the plus early and see some of those prelim bouts, I'm pretty sure they're going to have those on. It's a nice little night of boxing from the Hard Rock in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Check it out. But 10 o'clock Eastern, ESPN, Xavier Martinez, Robson Conceicao. That's going to be a good one. Robson was a 2016 gold medalist. Xavier Martinez is undefeated. Great fight. You're going to hear my interview with Xavier Martinez. You can also read up more on him on fansided.com/boxing. I've got a feature up on him. He's a good dude. Always have a good conversation with him. The big story here is him his contract ran out with Mayweather Promotions. This is his first fight under the Top Rank banner, and it is a main event. Again, super featherweight here. I'm really looking forward to this bout. I think Martinez is talented. Conceicao's talented. This is a tough bout. Now, I'll admit, I haven't had the opportunity. I've been too busy to sit down and do a serious film study. If I'm just going by the numbers, I got to go Conceicao with a decision. That's my official prediction. Although, like I said, I really need to do the film study to feel good about it. I usually like to go back and watch a couple films on each fighter before I make that decision. But just Conceicao in his last fight against Oscar Valdez just made such a mark on me that it's hard for me to imagine him losing. this type of fight. It's a WBC title eliminator, so the winner could get Oscar Valdez in the future. But Conceicao looked really sharp. Xavier Martinez is younger, he's fresher. Will that play a role? It's a good fight. I just don't see Martinez winning this one because Conceicao showed me something in that last fight, but it's intriguing. And of course, I mean, Martinez is talked to me numerous times. He's my guest on the show. Would be great to see him win. So best of luck to both guys. But Martinez does have a lot that he's fighting for. New promoter, new situation. I know that he wants to get that title. He's got a 7-month-old daughter that he's fighting for. Great interview. Real pleasant guy to talk to. So here's my interview with Xavier Martinez. Xavier, thank you so much for joining me. How you been?
Good. How about you?
Good. I've talked to you a few times in the past. Last time was before your previous fight in May, which congratulations. It was a great win. What's changed between May of 2021 and the present day in 2022? What have been some of the biggest things in your life that have changed?
I'm a dad now. I literally a month right after the fight, she was born.
Wow.
For May 15th and then June 15th, she was born. I got a new manager, Rick Murrigan, and I'm with Top Rank now. So those are the big things in my life that have changed.
I mean, those are some. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Those have been some huge changes. I remember you mentioning that you were expecting. How is that? Obviously, me being a father of two myself, I know how much it had an impact on me. What has been the biggest difference in becoming a father as far as your kind of worldview and your mindset?
I feel like if I don't shine, she doesn't eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy the other night because I'm not staying home right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm staying with my dad. I'm separating everything from because I'm in camp. And I was looking at a picture of her. And I got a little emotional, a little teary eyed because I want to do everything right for her, and I just want to win for her. So she's played a major motivational part in my life.
No doubt. What's your daughter's name?
Mila.
Oh, beautiful name. Well, congratulations again. It's a wonderful thing. I'm a girl dad too, so we have that in common. And then again, talking about how you have a new manager, new promoter. I mean, these are huge changes. Was there stress when you were making these transitions in that process?
Oh, most definitely a lot of stress because this is how we provide, and any boxer, this is how we provide for our families. And when you're just waiting, you get it gets to you. But luckily I have my girlfriend, my dad. They helped me out a lot. My coach, they kept me. They just said, just keep working, everything will play out. And sure enough, it did. But it was a stressful few months.
As far as obviously going from May to January, it's not the longest layoff, but it's probably longer than you would have liked. Did that have to do with the business end of things? That's why you maybe didn't have another fight in 2021?
I guess I felt like I should have been back in with my last promotional company sooner.
Hmm.
I don't know why they didn't put me back in sooner, but it is what it is. Luckily, I stay in the gym, so that helps out a lot. But it is what it is, and now I'm here, so I'm excited that I know I'm gonna be a lot more busier being with Top Rank. That's for sure.
Well, and it sounds like that was one of the reasons why you kind of changed course and promoters. Was it inactivity? Did you feel like it wasn't enough attention? Or what were kind of some of the main priorities that
Um,
you were looking
I
for?
mean, they're not. I mean, don't get me wrong. My other promotions did a lot for me, and they got me
Mhm.
to where I am right now. But I think the inactivity part was an issue.
Mhm.
Um, obviously, I at least want to at least fight 3 times a year, and I felt like I wasn't even getting that. So I think being with Top Rank was the best decision to go with.
As far as the contract, was it that your contract had run out and was then making the decision, what do I do next and that sort of thing, or was there any more drama behind it?
No, it was just, my contract ended and, we tried to do something with them and they wanted to work with me, but we just couldn't see eye to eye on things. So I ended up going with Top Rank.
I remember before your fight with Claudio Marrero, you kind of took me through the story of how you and Floyd connected, and you talked about, I think it was going to Florida with him and kind of spending a
Hmm.
week with him. Uh, as far as that bond with, obviously Floyd is not the only person doing business within Mayweather
Hmm.
Promotions, But do you still feel like that there's still a solid bond between the two of you?
Um, I don't know, cause Floyd is Floyd. It wasn't me and Floyd weren't as obviously not as close as him and Tank were.
Hmm.
I feel like I had more of a, me and Leonard Ellerby dealt with each other a lot more. So me and Leonard Ellerby are cool. He's a real good dude. So that's like I think I had the closest bond to on that company.
Hmm. Now, obviously, you you get coordinated in top rank with a main event, a big main event against a
Mm.
very good opponent in Robinson Conceicao. Obviously, Robson looked very good in his last bout against Oscar Valdez. What was your take when you kind of watched the film on him in that fight?
I think he went in there and he really wanted to win that fight. He went in there with a game plan, obviously, and his game plan was working. He went in with the game plan and he was executing it. Like I said, personally, I feel like Valdez wasn't fully mentally there due to all the stuff going on with the PEDs and this and that. So um, I felt like Valdez kind of made him look a little better than what he is personally. But
Mhm.
I'm not saying because Conceicao is not good because he is, and I know he's gonna come to fight. But I just think Valdez made him look better than what he is.
Um, was it an opportunity where, obviously this is an eliminator fight. I'm assuming you probably had other options as well, but I mean, was it that eliminator that kind of put the icing on the cake for this one?
Honestly, I didn't even get told it was an eliminator at first.
Oh, really?
I just heard, I just got told you're fighting Conceicao on ESPN main event, and I was like, all right, let's go. So I was once I seen it was title eliminated, I was like, okay, like
Mhm.
now, that motivated me a lot more.
As far as things that you're kind of seeing with him versus your style, how do you anticipate this fight going? If you kind of thought about, maybe what you saw against Valdez, what type of fight does he want to make it, and what type of fight would you like? Do you anticipate it being?
Um, I gotta, just go in there and I like to go in there and see what's gonna happen because not every time someone's gonna come out fighting the way they normally do the last one.
Mhm.
I like to go in there and see what's gonna happen. But me, I think uh I'll say the jabs gonna be key in this fight. A lot of jabs and head movement.
Now he's got a couple inches on you as far as height, but you guys actually have the same reach. Have you
Mhm.
had any issues fighting bigger fighters, or does it not really make a difference?
No, because
None.
I have a couple sparring partners, but one of my main sparring partners, I think he's like 5'10", 5'11", and he has a long reach. And then I've also fought someone who was 6'2", 6'1", so
Mhm.
someone a little taller than me isn't, doesn't phase me at all.
When you were going back and you were watching your performance against Juan Carlos Burgos, what was your reaction, and how did you kind of rate your own performance in that fight?
I was like, damn, I made this fight harder than what I needed to, honestly. But I think it was just having the crowd there made me want to
Mhm.
just fight, just fight. I could have made that fight way easier. I give myself a C. I think I could have done way better. I do think it was BS how they said he landed 40% of his punches because I didn't. I was even marked up. I was blocking and slipping a lot of his shots. So, but like I said, I could have made it a lot easier on myself for that fight.
Did you? I know he was kind of known for having a chin and not having been stopped. Did you think that there were a couple moments in there where maybe you could have stopped him?
I seen I buckled him a couple times.
As far as future moves, I mean, not looking past Robson by any stretch of the imagination. Again, people get told it's an eliminator, but there's always some red tape that jumps in there, and there's always some issues. Would you like to see that eliminator come into fruition, or is there like, are there other fighters that you would have on your radar that you wouldn't mind fighting as well?
It doesn't matter. Honestly,
Hmm.
I just want to fight. I just want to be active. If they have me
Hmm.
fight for world title next, I'll be, that would be a dream come true. But if they have me do another fight to where I'm just staying active, I'm fine with that too. Either way, my main goal is to be world champion, and I'm here to do whatever I have to do to get there.
One thing that people might be missing in this one, yes, Conceição is a gold medalist and things of that nature, but he's also 33 and you're 24 years old. I mean, how much is youth do you think going to factor into this one?
We'll see.
Hmm.
We can't always assume just age, that someone's breaking down. We'll see, but we'll see on fight night if him being 33 matters.
I hear you. Final question. This is more of a tongue-in-cheek one, but slightly serious as well. Are you
Uh,
still getting any DMs from Chris Colbert, or is that stopped?
nah, that stopped.
All
Nah,
right.
honestly, I don't even. I'm tired of going back and forth. This is how I say it's either we fight or we don't fight. I feel I
Mhm.
already said what I need to say. He said what he needed to say. So at the end of the day, when we fight, we just fight.
I hear you. Well, congratulations on the new home at Top Rank. Congratulations on being a father, and I look forward to seeing your next fight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks. You have a good one, Xavier. Well, that was my interview with Xavier Martinez. Best of luck to him. Make sure to check out the article too on fansided.com/boxing. It should be a good one. Nice competitive bout. I think it's a pretty even matchup. We'll see what happens on ESPN tomorrow night. Next week, you're definitely going to jump onto the pod. I've got Leo Santa Cruz on the show. I'll also have a feature article on him as he returns after his loss to Gervonta Davis for another big night of boxing. That's going to be an impressive one. That's going to be on, I think it's Fox pay-per-view. Yeah, Fox pay-per-view, because the main event is Keith Thurman, his return against Mario Barrios. Interesting fight. You've got Abel Ramos versus Josecito Lopez. Leo Santa Cruz fighting Keenan Carbajal. We'll see how he looks coming back to featherweight. You've got Fernando Vargas fighting on the fight. Luis Neri fighting on the card. It's a pretty nice stacked undercard there for that one. So I'm excited for that one. Leo Santa Cruz, great guy, great interview. You're going to want to check that out. We are rocking it out here every time we've got great people on this show. So make sure that you're coming back. Make sure you're liking and subscribing on YouTube. Make sure that you're liking and leaving a comment on Spotify or Apple, iTunes, whatever it's called, wherever podcasts are. Check it out. That's That Boxing Writers Podcast. Again, I'm That Boxing Writer Jeremy here just saying thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.